Good afternoon, Mike and Steve back together again. Now that Steve has joined us, the average age has went up by 10 years because Corey was keeping it down.
Right.
So yes, good to be back with Steve here. Today we have three exciting topics. Steve's going to talk about the strategic Bitcoin reserve, big news over the weekend. I'm going to talk about tariffs, big news all the time. Seems like, and then I'm going to cover a funny story about banks making errors. You know, that could be funny to some people, but anyways, before we get started, must remind you this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything that you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and Steve's alone. So, Steve, give us the strategic Bitcoin news.
All right. Hey, everybody. It's great to be back. Mike, thanks for having me on to your show now, since you've been running it for a while. Big news out this weekend, the strategic Bitcoin reserve. What was new? What's not? Let's get this centered up here so you can see it. So this is the article. This is the CNBC website over in the crypto side. So yeah, Bitcoin jumped nearly 14,000 in the past 3 days since Trump made this announcement. So talking about a crypto reserve, there has been talk ever since. If you flash back to the run up to the election, I believe it was July, might have been June. There was a crypto conference, the Bitcoin conference. Both Trump and Kamala went out there and both spoke. And that's where Trump is the first time, at least I've heard him talking about a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And most people think that's going to happen. I won't say most people. The crypto space thinks it's going to happen for sure, to some extent. And if you realize Bitcoin, I heard this from Rick Edelman last week at a conference, Bitcoin is the #2 holder of crypto out of all the countries that are out there. I think China's first. So it's kind of interesting. And where do they get it? They get it from seizures, right? It's just like they get cash, right? Or guns or whatever. They seize stuff and it becomes government property. So I think at a minimum, it makes sense just to fence that and say that's now a strategic reserve. That would be the minimum. But then Trump kind of upped the stakes this weekend through a tweet and a couple of other announcements saying that he wanted a crypto reserve. So again, that would involve other things other than Bitcoin. As far as, again, my own personal opinion is that Bitcoin is the way to go. Not really participating in the other players in the space. There's valid use of them, but Bitcoin is different. That's a topic for another day on why Bitcoin's different. But certainly opening that up to the top echelon of the crypto is exciting for the crypto space. And you say, well, I don't want my, if you're on the other side, right, you're like, ooh, I don't want my government doing that. Well, think of it this way. The analogy that I use is, embracing Bitcoin and or digital assets and or crypto is kind of like the feeling that maybe your grandparents had when the microwave was out. Like, we don't need one of those in the house. We can just cook our own food. Or the personal computer comes out. We obviously don't need one of those in each household. That's what my parents told me. And yep, now they have one in their house at 89. Right. And then the internet comes about. It's like, I don't understand it. It's magic in a box. This is too weird for me. Obviously, that's not going to move the needle. Smartphones, nobody's going to carry a stupid phone around. That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. So if you're hearing, or if you've thought of any of those things and said, wow, did those people not get it? That's where I am personally on Bitcoin, is that this is moving forward with technology, and this is where the world is going. So therefore, if that's true, if I'm correct, then we would clearly have a Bitcoin reserve. So anyhow, it's kind of backing up the thesis that we've been talking about here at Ankerstar Wealth in different levels, depending on your advisor, right? We're all different and unique. But yeah, about some exposure to that in your portfolio. So crypto popped on that. It did sell a little bit off today. It's still up from Friday's close. But I think you're going to see now that the government has said there's still nothing official, right? It's just an announcement, but there's nothing like signed into law. But I think you will see there's Rick Edelman said there was like 30 states that have put in the legislation for a Bitcoin reserve. So I think if you are a state out there, you are this week spending your time front running the U.S. government legally by standing up your own Bitcoin reserve in your own state prior to the government. Because once the U.S. government says we're in, it's happening, then I think you're going to see another move up in price. So what's next is the White House has announced the White House Crypto Conference. I have not yet received an invite to go to the White House to participate on this. Mike probably has, because he's starting to get more of that stuff than me now. if they ask me, I might go. I don't know. I might just maybe watch it on live stream or something. But since they're having a crypto conference on Friday, they have to be announcing something, or maybe this is an executive order thing. I don't know the political side of it, but we shall see. But they're going to bring some smart people in, then have a conference on Friday, and we'll see what happens after that. So I was going to show you today's market. The market's down. But if you click over on the crypto tab, which you probably don't do a lot. Bitcoin's showing down now. That's from yesterday, though. So these are yesterday. It goes day by day, unlike the market. But if you show BITB, let's show that instead, because that's got green. BITB up 3.18, or if you hold MicroStrategy, the proxy right next to it, that's up, a percent. So that's where I think we're going to see as a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. That's why we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off today. But I think there's going to be a run-up going into Friday. So I'm optimistic from here. So Mike, back over to you. Did you receive a White House invite for Friday yet?
Let's see, White House, high tech. Let me check my fax machine, or maybe it's in the mailbox.
Right.
or maybe they send it out via tweets. I don't know. I don't think I've got it yet, but I do get stuff from the White House all the time there.
There you go.
Usually just asking me to donate money.
Right.
So what is in the news? It's been in the news for, it feels like 2 months now. Tariffs and deadlines, and a lot of this is what's causing the market sell-off. A lot of unknowns. And I'm going to pull up an article on the wall from the Wall Street Journal, and they use the term brinkmanship. Trump's latest tariff brinkmanship goes down to the wire. So if any of you have done negotiating with vendors, other companies, whoever, then it always goes down to the wire. When the NFL signs free agents, it always goes down to the wire. It just feels like it. It's always, so much pressure. We got to get this done. The latest, if you remember, Trump had, threatened. I use the word threatened more because some of this is negotiating. 25% on Canada and Mexico, 10% on China. Not sure why they get off lighter, but they do for now. Canada and Mexico, did some things to move some troops around, said we're not going to let bad people into your country, and they said, okay, we'll delay your 25% tariff, and that delay is coming down to tomorrow. Personally, I think China's really the target with all of this. Canada and Mexico are probably easier to deal with. We'll put something onto them, cut some deals, help us secure the border, and then we'll let them off the hook. How does it impact? Why does it cause the market to jump all over? Because there's unknowns with it. So, for example, we take a lot of autos from Canada and Mexico. They want to get those things shipped today, tomorrow, because on Wednesday they might be 25% more. Ugh, you don't want to pay that. So, things like that screw up the supply chains and cause all this nervousness that's happening. Since brinkmanship is not a word that we typically use, I thought I'd go ahead and pull up a definition. So I found this on Instagram, source for all things, just like dictionary.com, right? But the activity, especially in politics, of trying to get what you want by saying that if you do not get it, you will do something dangerous. Now, I don't know that a tariff is dangerous. That might be a little bit extreme, but certainly we're having brinkmanship between leaders of the world on what they're going to do at the deadline. Another one, and I like this comes from the Cold War flashcard deck from 1945 to 1960, trying to achieve an advantageous outcome by pushing dangerous events to the brink of conflict. That's brinkmanship. So I don't know, a lot of times it's hype, but I guess I've been part of negotiation before. I usually haven't been the bad guy. The attorneys are, but the attorneys have told me when I've done it, they're like, we will be going to the deadline and likely past. I'm thinking this is very likely as well. So I do not expect this will be resolved tomorrow, but it could be if Mexico and Canada, get on something. Does Donald Trump really want to cause the stock market to go down? No, He does not. I am positive that he wants that to go up in the long run. Whether I'm sure he has not invested in positions, he has a blind trust, but overall he knows that he is tied to the stock market, and if the stock market goes down, it makes him look worse. So his goal is aligned with our goal that he does want it to go up. So anyways, I expect this will be interesting. And I did pull up, a graph of the S&P 500 to say, so far on the year, we're up 0.16%. It doesn't feel like we're up just because of the way it's gone. And the NASDAQ, unfortunately, we're not up. We're down about 4%. That could be some shifting, some sector rotation. So, but overall, it's not bad. It's not bad. So I did see some other charts that say years after we gain over 20%, the first couple 2-3 months of the year tend to be volatile, and certainly we're seeing that. So on the fun note, Steve, how many times has the bank ever erred in your favor in giving you too much money? Has that ever happened?
I cannot remember a situation where that has happened.
I will tell you that in my entire life of going to the ATM, since I was probably 18 years old, one time the bank shorted me $20. The ATM has been correct. It's never given me too much, but one time it shorted me $20. I let the bank know, and they credited me $20. Pretty accurate. Banks are pretty accurate for the most part. When you dive in, if you think something's wrong in your account, there's a fee, there's something. Usually the bank's actually right. They'll sometimes waive fees, but usually they're not wrong. So when I saw this article about bank near misses, Citigroup mistakenly credited a customer $81 trillion.
81 trillion.
81 trillion. If the customer had realized it, and this was actually real money, they could have paid off the national debt and build up another account for it, just like that. I mean, could you imagine? So I saw this article. Now, they were supposed to send them just $280, but they sent them 81 trillion. So fortunately for Citibank or Citigroup, and they said that 2 employees missed this, but they caught it 90 minutes after it posted. I don't know that the customer pulled up their ATM, or it was like 81 trillion. I mean, we saw an example last year where they were cashing out money out of banks because there was some kind of an error. But there's this whole thing called near miss. Now, Steve, 81 trillion is certainly a near miss because the customer didn't actually get the money. What do you think the threshold is for a near miss? How much money?
Like in the US, like by law, there's a definition?
Correct.
5,000.
5,000. Steve would be slightly off because last year there were some near misses. Now, a near miss is considered, let me find the definition, $1 billion. So,
Jesus.
So last year there was 10 near misses of $1 billion or more, and 13 the prior year. I have never been, if you happen to be one of these people that get a near miss, I don't think you're going to get to keep the money. It would be cool to see it. So anyways, I just thought this was kind of a fun article to see, a near miss of 81 trillion. I don't know. Check your accounts. Maybe you'll see it. It doesn't give me.
Grab a screenshot if you do and send it in.
Yeah. Yes, we will be impressed. So with that, that's fun. I wish they'd give the government a near miss with 81 trillion. Like suddenly we're out of debt, just like that. Thank you, Citigroup. So anyways, that's the fun part. We'll see what the markets do the rest of the week. Anything else, Steve?
Nope, that's it for me.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.